Hello, friends, and welcome back to Error Code Blueberry, an unassuming Destiny podcast. This is episode 18. This podcast is now old enough to vote in a lot of Western countries. My name is chillybin.
I'm Meckii.
Uh, there has been, since our last episode, actually literally right after our last episode, some fairly big news involving Bungie. We are going to get into that a little bit. It's, kind of, it doesn't directly affect us, so we're not going to go too deep, but it is worth discussing. It is worth talking about. It's important stuff. We're going to drop a chapter marker. I'm going to figure that out for the first time. So, in terms of the content of the article from IGN, which folks may or may not have seen, reporting on Bungie's history, workplace conditions, that kind of thing. Some content warnings around. Literally just read them off what you had written in the notes. Things like sexism, racism, ableism, discrimination, favoritism, bigotry, burnout, worker exploitation. Similar things to, I guess, Activision Blizzard. A lot of game studios kind of in the press for similar things. So yeah, if you are not in the mood for that, feel like you've heard enough about it, fair cop. We'll drop a chapter marker. You can skip ahead. We'll talk about the Dawning. We'll talk a bit more about the 30th anniversary stuff because that's all still ticking along. But for now, let's get into a slightly heavier topic. Meckii, I kind of want to throw to you to get the ball rolling because I think this was something you particularly wanted us to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we tweeted a little bit last week about it, just because it came out more or less the day that we sent our last episode live. But I feel like for the Destiny community and for the Bungie community, I feel like the article that came out on IGN is an important article. It is very easy as a community to look at what Bungie is doing now, especially on like a surface level, as far as we know, with its social media and then all of its initiatives. But Rebekah Valentine from IGN spoke to, I think it was 26 current and former employees, and heard stories and experiences and stuff, just workplace experiences and stories, and from I think it was as far back as 2011 to some of these instances happening as recently as this year as well.
Yeah.
And I think there were a lot of important stories and a lot of important voices in that article. And a lot of just brutal honesty. And I think for a lot of us, it was really confronting because we do want to sit there and be like, oh, Bungie is the exception. But then we need to also remember that Bungie was born of the same industry that bred Activision, Blizzard, Riot, and until maybe in the last decade, the gaming industry has been not to sound cliche, but a man's world. It's been one of those industries until it was under as much scrutiny as every other entertainment industry. So there are some really confronting and important stories in there that I think if you're a fan of Destiny or a fan of Bungie, definitely read the article.
Yeah, I think the back half of that article, again, excellent, delicate reporting done on this because it's a pretty sensitive stuff, right? But yeah, the back half of that article to me kind of had a lot of the sentiments being expressed from the people that are being interviewed was one of we realized and are talking about how bad these situations are, but can also see in recent years the efforts Bungie has been making to kind of turn things around, but also acknowledging that they are a large company and this sort of change takes a fair amount of time. And another kind of big item on the list here was yesterday, a further piece of reporting from IGN that their Bungie's head of HR had stepped down. HR being pointed out in that initial article as one of the more problematic areas because they're supposedly who you are supposed to report issues to, but it sounded like they weren't really handling them in a way that was protecting those that were bringing the issues to them. And the statement that the I haven't got the name here, but the statement the head of HR made was not great. It was kind of like saying basically just kick everyone out and start again. Was kind of like, baby out with the bathwater kind of situation, stroppy toddler bullshit. I'd have to take another look at it to see if there's more to it, but it kind of seemed like one of those encouraged resignations as opposed to a termination of employment. I've seen it in my own career. People that have worked at places I've worked that have been given the option to, resign within a week and leave. And then I've seen people refuse that option only to be walked out of the building. So, yeah, that's usually how that goes when somebody is maybe historically needs to be gotten rid of, but legally you can't do that on the spot unless you've seen it, seen something bad enough kind of in the moment. There's, the US is different, but at least in Australia, that's certainly how it is, workplace protections being what they are. But yeah, there's some, I guess the main thing I want to say is like, go and read the article if you at all are invested in the game, in the studio, in Bungie's history, even if you're just like a big enough fan of video games to read press about like how the studios operate. I know a lot of people who play games that couldn't care less about how the games exist. But it is worth understanding how that side of the industry operates, I guess.
Yeah, and even then, it's like, I think it's also very important that instead of us or other people just relaying, it's better to, even though it's being done through Rebekah, it is better to acknowledge these voices and hear these voices directly. And that includes on social media as well, because there have been, since this article dropped, there have been people who work there now or worked there in the past who have put their hand up on Twitter and YouTube and said, hey, yeah, I went through the same shit. I experienced the same things. And then there are people on Twitter who have been there for 15 years who have said, look, yeah, I experienced the same things, but I'm also experiencing the change and part of the change now. So
yeah,
there's a lot of really important stories and a really important lived in experiences that are being relayed.
Yeah, I think that was also like coming into this episode, what we didn't want to do was just kind of sit here and essentially read the article or like enumerate all the different situations that were discussed in it. Because frankly, that would be a long episode and also kind of depressing.
And there's some big things there too.
Yeah.
Like it's not just your typical assault or burnout. There are a lot of really different nuanced experiences there, especially from the voices of people of color and minorities and women in the workplace too.
Yeah, it's as someone who works in tech, it's stuff that I've seen. I've seen aspects of this stuff just in my own career. So people I am friends with, people I've worked with, have relayed some of similar stories to me about their experiences. Video games are weird in that they're kind of the intersection of the tech industry and the entertainment industry, both historically very toxic towards people that aren't straight white men. And so I guess, you've got the worst of both worlds kind of being discussed in articles like this and articles like, the stories about Activision Blizzard at the moment, but also, as you mentioned, Riot in the past. I don't even know where they got to with remediating some of their stuff. But also, these are not the end of the list. There have been articles about this kind of stuff for years. Like Ubisoft was in the press maybe a couple of years ago for like some pretty horrendous shit. Granted, it seems like they were a little more aggressive about getting rid of some people. Not to say the problems are fixed, but there were certainly some high profile resignations. I don't know if there were terminations, but they were definitely people that like had been kind of pointed out as like they're kind of shit. Get rid of them. Um, so yeah, it is. I've seen people saying like, "Oh, it's an industry issue. It's not just Bungie. It's also not just this industry. It's kind of everything."
It's
like,
it's capitalism in it.
yeah, yeah, capitalism, which is run in it's run
The
by people that
corporate
look like
structure.
me, unfortunately.
The corporate structure.
Mm,
I mean, corporate structure has gone unchanged for a very long time.
mm.
So
So yeah, it's the way that I try to approach these sort of articles is not necessarily look at it and go like, yeah, that's so bad. I'm gonna now judge Bungie differently. Granted, I am sort of keeping an eye on things and paying attention to what folks who work there are saying about the changes that are happening, but it's more how do I take the stories here, internalize them to a point where maybe I can do something with my privilege, my I don't know, whatever that may be. Like I'm in no position of management or anything, but I have some amount of privilege from being an able-bodied straight white man working in the tech industry. And so it's trying to, take that on as information and increase my own awareness about these sorts of topics, these sorts of issues, these sorts of challenges and experiences. And it's not usually something I speak about because I don't like that kind of feels gross too. To be like, yeah, look at me, I'm learning, aren't I good? It's all virtue signaling. But it's important to mention that, I think, so that others can do the same, right? Like you
yeah.
don't have to necessarily go out there and bang some drum about it. It's just like, look, read some more, learn a lesson or two, and then go be better. I think
Yeah.
that was like the end of a lot of tweets I saw was just be better, Bungie.
Mm. I think too, if you go and read this article and you find these stories confronting
Mm.
and upsetting, and they do make you kind of look at Bungie and reassess Bungie, that's not a bad thing.
No,
You're human. If you read this article and went, "Oh yeah," then be worried. But
that's kind of the problem, yeah.
if you read this and go, "Hey, I find this genuinely kind of confronting and upsetting,"
Congrats, you
that's
have a
good.
conscience. Yeah.
You're having a human reaction to it.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people saying that they found it upsetting and confronting on Twitter, and they were like, "Hey, this fucking sucks."
Mm.
It's like, yeah, it sucks. It's like finding out that someone you admire or a mate kind of sucks.
Yeah, or like you and I've experienced this with bands that we're into when it turns out that one of the members of the band was actually like doing some really shady shit, and then you're like, great, now I don't feel comfortable listening to them.
Yeah.
Even after they get rid of that person, I feel bad listening to the music that had that person in it. It's just, it creates that association, right?
Yeah. And then it's like the counter Discord was, oh, get over it. It's just a company. Oh, get over it. It's just a game. And it's like, no, it's not. It's people. It's people's lives.
Yes. Yeah. That is an important thing to remember. There are people
Game
on the end of this.
Gaming is not one of those careers, and the gaming industry is not something you get into because you're about it. It's not just a job that people fall into, it's a job that people strive for.
Mm.
So it's like if you find this shit confronting, good, you're a person. This is the response you're meant to have to these stories.
Yeah. And it's, especially around conversations of like crunch and exploitation, as you mentioned, people typically get into video gaming for work because they're deeply passionate about games or something like that, right? And that is something that companies will tend to exploit, and they'll use the language of like, you're here because you love games as a lever to make you work more than you're paid for, or they'll use the language of we're all a family, or we love what we do, to try and guilt you into working more than you're actually contracted for, right? And like, that's not unique to America, that's not unique to this industry, it's literally just how a lot of companies work. And it's only in the last few years I've really like developed an ear for that kind of language and going like, hey, you're kind of talking like it's a cult. you're kind of saying things that are playing on emotions so that people will give you unpaid labor, right? And a lot of this article talks about stuff like that, of kind of manipulating that passion that people are coming to them with, right? Like I've been, look, I've never worked in games, I've never worked for Bungie, but especially around the 30th anniversary event, I've been caught up in some of it of going like, fuck yeah, I've got a lot of nostalgia, and it's easy to conflate that with other things that can be exploited quite easily.
Mm. It's the same as like, just to take one small instance from the article. We're both people who are really like, hell yeah, Bungie is writing about minorities and they're giving minorities stories in this universe and representation. But then you find out a lot of those stories were birthed and created off the back of someone writing a heartfelt story about someone who isn't a white Marine, and then having to hide the fact they had to work overtime to get that story in the game because they were threatened that if they're caught working overtime that their bits would be cut.
Yeah.
Or if you can't get your story written in this deadline, obviously it's not going to get done, so stop writing it. And that broke my heart, that a lot of the stories that we have fallen in love with and that we hold up and say, hey, look, Bungie is writing about minorities and giving voices to minorities in this game. It's not just pretty white lady and space marine. It's, you've got a...
Which flavor of bold space wizard do you want today?
Yeah, like, and they're writing stories about queer couples and not being shy about it and not queer baiting and disabilities and trans like individuals in the and to find out that a lot of these stories were built on the back of that kind of treatment kills me a little bit. But in turn, I also hold those stories very close as well now, even closer, because these people broke their backs to give us these stories. And that was something big I took out of this article, was a lot of these stories, people burnt themselves to the ground to make sure that these stories and these voices were represented. And it makes some of those stories all the more important, because there have been people who've come out, they've come out after the article and went, yeah, that was me in the article. And I was trying to get XYZ story into the game and I had to hide it more or less. And I'm like, well, that story means a lot to me now because you went above me on to make sure that the story was told.
Yeah.
That's just one instance of like humility, I think, that I experienced while reading this article, was just like, yeah, that sucks and it really hurts. But also like these stories are all the more important to me now because someone put their all in to make sure they were told.
Yeah. It's look, it's not fully related to kind of the events in the article, but I've always found this weird disconnect with certain parts of like the Destiny content community, where, you know, people that are literally doing like 3D animation projects as a vehicle to try and get jobs at Bungie. Like, they are essentially doing full-time work. Don't get me wrong, the work they do, incredible. Not at all trying to like disparage that effort, but there's a lot of these types of things going around where you got people in the community super passionate, they've got these skills, they want to, you know, express that with the tools they have available, and then that gets used in like This Week at Bungie posts or Destiny social posts, like from official Bungie accounts, and that starts to form almost part of the game's marketing, and at no point those people are paid. Maybe they get an emblem in the game at some point, right? And looking at any of the third-party app creators, like a lot of them are Patreon funded, so they get theirs as rightfully they should. But there's this weird ecosystem of people essentially doing a lot of unpaid work, and I guess that's just fandom. That's all that is, right? It's people putting their work out there. It's just of a really high bar for some reason with this game in particular. Not to say other games don't have similar things.
We have some crazy talented people in this community. Every day on the Destiny topic on Twitter. I see art. I see people recreating exotic weapons out of
Yeah,
cardboard. Like, we have some crazy talented people.
yeah. Um, but it's just I don't know where the line is there between like how much work you're doing to produce this like video
Mm.
or image to kind of put out your character or your animation or your idea for like some theorized thing within the Destiny universe, and then bleeding into like what should actually just be paid at some point. Like someone should get paid for that art. Someone should be, I don't know, getting something for their time, you know, especially if it's being used to in some way boost kind of the image of the game and the community. I don't know. It just I don't know where that line is or should be.
Yeah, that's the hard part. I mean, I guess a positive out of that situation is at least Bungie aren't aggressive and striking down artists who are
Yeah.
selling their Destiny fan art and their Destiny
Yeah, look,
projects and stuff.
they're not Nintendo. Aggressively fucking DMCAing people.
Cease and desists
Yeah.
everywhere, yeah.
Yeah. So like they're very free with how people kind of use their stuff, and I'm sure there's things that they would say no to in terms of, I don't know, some weird fan fiction territory sort of stuff, but at what point are they letting people go a little bit too far with how much work they're putting into this stuff to where they should be just getting a job somewhere doing that kind of work? I don't know
Mm,
whether that's at
that's
Bungie or not, but yeah.
that's the hard part. That's a new level of discourse too that
Yeah,
I think needs to happen in
yeah,
not just Destiny, but a lot of communities that rely on their community to create content and promote the game
yeah,
inadvertently.
yeah. um but yeah, with just to, I don't know, close the loop, bring things back. I don't know how much more I've got to say on sort of this particular topic with the IGN article, other than
Go read
um,
it.
yeah, go read it. And like I said before, the thing for me is I have seen, not just in sort of the tone in the article, but from seeing some people responding on Twitter that are working at Bungie right now or have recently worked there, commenting in the last weeks on the last week since it came out. Sorry, um, saying that things do seem to be turning and heading in the right direction. It is just a matter of time, and I don't know how much we're going to hear about those internal efforts. Pete Parsons, the CEO, seems to be pretty open about discussing. At least his response to the article was fairly transparent as far as CEO responses to these sorts of things go.
It was, yeah, it was an, I wouldn't say great, but it was an okay response. I think my favorite part was he didn't look for excuses. He
Yeah.
didn't look to point fingers. He just
Mm.
said, hey, it's not just our actions, but it was our inaction that has caused this problem too.
Mm.
And we're trying to grow as a company, and here's all the ways that we're doing that. And if
Yeah.
any of these people want to reach out and contribute to that growth or like have a chat about this, he's also said, look, hey, we can do it and we can keep it anonymous and we can just
Yeah.
chat. And
Yeah. But yeah, my impression is also that Bungie has been growing very rapidly. I know that they've like been working on things that aren't Destiny in the last few years, so they have to spin up a lot of different teams for that. And they opened an office in like the Netherlands, I think, and they've got handfuls of people around the world. Like,
Seattle is currently being renovated and expanded.
yeah, and having worked in a few places that have grown rapidly, managing that kind of change is incredibly difficult and complex.
Mm.
Especially if you're trying to course correct on potentially toxic aspects of your culture. It's not just how do we manage the growth, it's also how do we, as things are blowing up in front of us, make it go a different direction. It's, yeah, very tough to make that change happen, but like I said, it does seem like they are trying to.
Yeah.
Not trying to give them a pass or anything, because again, these stories are pretty terrible, some of them. But yeah, I like it. It sounds ominous, but it's kind of like we're watching, right? Like we'll be keeping an eye on you.
Yeah.
That's kind of the
And I mean,
overwhelming sentiment.
I think we're both in the same kind of mindset and attitude, even when it comes to, let me elaborate,
Mm.
mall discrepancies by some of our favorite like content creators and artists and musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's obvious things that you can say, okay, do better. Take this opportunity and move with it. Obviously there's things that are completely unforgivable, but
Yep.
there are opportunities to like I think you can be a fan of something while still being critical of it.
Oh yeah, totally.
And that includes growth. And I think that comes with, if we can allow content creators the room to grow, we can let corporations room to grow too. And it's like, obviously everyone has their tolerance.
Mm.
But for me at the moment, I guess I'm in a quote unquote holding pattern with Bungie where I'm like, okay, I can see you're trying. Now stick the landing. Where are we going
Yeah.
from here? Are we going to keep doing this? Are we going to hold like, or are more of these stories going to come out?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I don't need to see leaked emails to prove that you're doing it. I imagine with reporting like this happening, there will be follow-ups to kind of check in and see how things are going. I don't need to like see inside the company, but I would like to see some reflection of that work happening.
Mm.
I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how they're going to message that to the public. Internal, because they're still a private company, right? They don't have to worry about like shareholder meetings and that sort of stuff, which typically just gets into the public eye anyway.
No, I don't think they've gone public yet.
No. So unless they want a message to get out about this stuff, it's unlikely that one will, whether that's through reporting or them just making a statement to be like, here's what we've done in the last 6 months to kind of address the stuff in the article, right? That'd be nice. I'm not, not necessarily hanging out for it, not expecting it. But yeah, it's increased my, criticism of Bungie, but I'm not done with them. If there wasn't that tone of, oh, I can tell they're working on it from people that work there, maybe it's a different conversation at that point. It's complicated, and I am like, it's only been out for a week, so even some of that stuff I'm still working out for myself. So time will tell is, I think, sort of how I wrapped up my message last week when I was like, oh shit, this came out before we released the episode. Better tweet about this because it's going to look super weird if we're all out there celebratory while this is all going on.
It felt like, I think I said earlier, it would feel entirely disingenuous for us as people who built a podcast entirely around how much we love this game and love the community, even the toxic parts of it we cover, and then pretend this isn't a thing or just gloss over this. It would be just not true to ourselves as individuals as well as our objective with this podcast. So.
Yeah, I think if anything, it's made me want to like double down on that aspect. Like weirdly, my because I follow enough Destiny stuff, my Twitter timeline just ends up like full of suggestions for accounts I don't follow but are Destiny related. And there was just like glimpses into beef between Destiny content creators that have been banned for years. I'm like, who are these people? Why are they so toxic? Why am I hearing about it now? Oh, it's because they're, complaining about how they were banned and trying to make this article about them. Like, just people being shitheels.
I noticed that too. A lot of people taking these really kind of like, it's not just, oh, if I worked overtime, my story wouldn't make it. There's stories of violence, harassment, locker room talk, like genuine gut-wrenching stories. And you got dinked 5 years ago for cheating in trials.
Yeah.
These are not the same thing.
This is not the time nor the place.
This ain't it, Chief.
Go play another game. Thank you. Good night. Like
this ain't it. Like,
yeah. But yeah, it just and like as a almost like a counter to that coming up on my timeline, I saw people I'd never heard of who are content creators within Destiny or are like coming back because they've been lapsed and are saying like, show me where the positive parts of this community are. I need to find my people. And that was
Yeah.
what made me go, okay, yeah, there is potentially more of an audience for, what our mission is than I initially thought. So
It's
that was I don't know, reassuring in a sense of like we're not just yelling into a cesspit with trying to be better within this community.
Yeah, I actually followed a Destiny Twitch streamer that I had no clue about. I won't mention them by name because their response was, in my opinion, hilarious. To
Mm-hmm.
other people, maybe a little bit toxic.
Mm.
But one of the more vocal people who have been banned by Bungie and Destiny in the last couple of years
Mm.
was trying to use this article to whip up a cause for him and try and
Right.
manipulate this whole thing into me, poor me, I'm a victim as well. No. He did some pretty gross shit. I won't say what, but no, he's definitely not the victim.
Yeah.
And this Twitch streamer just turned around and was like, yo, homie, shut the fuck up. You got banned for X, Y, and Z. This is not the same argument.
No.
He's like, and then I think he followed it up with a tweet that was just like, how about you shut up for once and actually listen? And I was just like, follow, goes to Twitch, follows.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you.
That
Like,
is, yeah.
the dude he was telling to shut up outweighs him 10 to, like, this isn't me disparaging him, but outweighs him 10 to 1 in followers. And he was still like, how about shut up? And still managed to ratio the guy. So I
Yeah.
was like,
Get
respect.
lasered, homie.
Respect.
Ratio, also mid, also L.
Didn't ask. You fell off. Ratio. Mid. Cringe.
Good.
Like, I was just like, I love this man. This is a
That's-
good man. I'm gonna follow this man.
That's yeah. That's the good shit right there. Look, if we're kind of, I don't know, not done with this, but at least talked out on it for now.
Yeah.
We
I
can
think
make,
if we go any further, we're talking over the people in the article. So like, go read the article.
yeah, please do. So if you've clicked on the timestamp, welcome to the hardest fucking pivot I'm ever going to make. Let's talk about the Dawning. It's week 1 of said event. The 30th anniversary still continues. I didn't think the Dawning was this soon because the 30th anniversary started last week. I've played a little since reset. You?
A little bit, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you, until one of our teammates pinged me in the server and said, yo, are you doing Dawning stuff tonight? I'd completely fucking forgotten.
So did I, because I didn't play much towards the end of last week because I like did a lot of the 30th stuff early, and then it was like, okay, I'm just going to take a couple days and do some other stuff. I got work stuff to do. And then there was like a ping, or like one of those banner notifications in the game to be like, hey, the Dawning is next week. I'm like, what is it? It's too soon. Go away. But
for me, I kind of screwed myself because last week and the week before, I think in the pod I was saying that I muted everything on Twitter and social media because I didn't want to get spoiled for the 30th.
Yeah.
Forgot to unmute.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So I surprised myself. Oh, the Dawning's this week.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Ooh, Mayhem.
Ooh.
Wait, was Mayhem last week? Or was it this week? Doesn't matter. But yeah, so Space Grandma has returned to the tower, as has the cookie baking oven, now upgraded to version 2.1. There's 2 new recipes. It shows you all the recipes from the jump, which is so nice. I've masterworked my oven because I masterworked it last time and there's only 2 new recipes, so I just had to bake those and I was done. There is, as I guess Bungie has gotten real good at with their events, there is some really good loot. There is a sparrow that looks like a big train. And who is that fucking TikTok train guy? Because I just want to, I don't know what, but some sort of meme mashup where it's like his weird face-mounted camera next to that train. I don't know. I haven't formed the idea. I just want that as a concept.
I sent a screenshot of the train to one of our fire team members, and he just responded with, fuck. He knew. He knew.
You've heard of Skidder Scare? Get ready for this.
For context, last dawning, I had the sparrow that shits out glimmer.
Oh, the
that's
big
shaped like a sled.
the big Santa sleigh. Yeah, I've got
And
that in my
I
collection.
was terrorizing everyone
It's
with that
huge.
sparrow. Not just for the dawning, for
Yeah.
weeks after. I did DSC runs with the sparrow
You
and was
did.
parking it sideways across
Yeah,
doorways.
that sparrow's got a big old dumpy too.
And I'm just going through the sparrow section of DSC, shitting out glimmer and terrorizing everyone.
I'm pretty sure it only does that during the dawning.
During the
though.
dawning, yeah.
Yeah.
But we did DSC runs during the dawning.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man.
So y'all are giving me a big fucking train?
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. It's
Nightmare time.
It's times like this that make me miss Destiny 1 sparrow horns. Because could you imagine a train horn as well to go
You
with this?
imagine fucking Sparrow Racing League and it's just me on my big fucking steam train?
No, it's half of the field is trains, half of the field is micro minis.
Oh, spiders.
Oh, no. No, thank you. There's some pretty good ghost shells. There's one that looks like it has earmuffs, but they're gamer girl headphones with little reindeer antlers on the top.
There's one with a knitted jumper, and I saw on Twitter someone had spotted green and red wool in Zavala's office and was just like, what if Zavala made the ghost the jumper? And I was like, even if this isn't canon, it's canon. It's headcanon now. Zavala knits the ghost jumpers.
I'm accepting it. I'll allow it. I wish I had a gavel so I could just... yes, canon.
There's a ghost that is wrapped up like a present.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed something about it, and now I can't unsee it. But to me, the way the ribbon is wrapped around that ghost, it looks like that Christmas lingerie where like the ribbon and then the bow is on the groin. And now I can't unsee it.
I am probably not going to include an image of that here for fear of, I don't know, us getting a strike against the channel.
I feel like the girls, the gays, and the theys, we all know what I'm talking about.
Okay, I'm going to have to go... I'm going to see if I can figure out which ghost shell you're talking about and then send you an image and go like, is this it? Because I don't know if I've seen it or I'm just blanking it, but I think that'd be funny.
But yeah, I'm here to get some holly jolly but slightly scuffed things to terrorize you all with.
Yes, please do.
I hope you all don't like being able to get through doorways.
Oh god. Put that train in the doorway. Block everybody.
I'm gonna get my train and go show it to Varix.
Yes, you should. I bet he loves trains actually.
I love
He's
trains.
got all those hands to pull the levers.
Miniature trains, yes.
Head-mounted camera, yes.
Varix, but that train guy.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god.
Here comes the Meckii locomotive, yes.
Show me what that caboose do, yes. Oh.
Damn, you telling me that train got that caboosey?
Oh no. I had to stop myself from saying caboosey to get my original joke out.
Already started and I don't have it yet.
Yeah. Oh man. We're gonna have to have a train party. We all have to get it one way or another, and meet up and show Varix our trains. A train set.
Bunch of fucking toddlers in a sandpit. My twain is green.
Yes. Yes. We should do that. Fuck. There's also a couple of quests that you pick up when you go talk to Grandma. one of which is very saint oriented. I've finished it. You haven't started it. I look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Oh, don't worry. I opened a show notes tab
Yeah.
just for Dawning
Yeah.
stuff. You're going to hear me scream about that quest line.
I've already put one image in there, but I've spoiler tagged it. Don't click on that until you finish that quest line because it's like one of the like kind of story tabs for it.
I guess I'm doing the pigeon provides tonight then, huh?
I would advise it because otherwise you're running the risk of getting spoiled on it the longer you leave it. But yeah, like they're not hard quests at all. It's like go and do a couple of lost sectors, go and talk to someone, repeat that kind of 4 times. They're fine, you know.
Yeah.
It's more the story. One of them does, I think it's the other quest line actually finally makes Guardians jumping off the tower canon. Like it's in like one of the ones where you go speak to Zavala, it literally mentions Guardians throwing themselves off the tower and then their ghost resurrecting them. So that is not just us being shitheads, it's actually a pastime. It is a holiday tradition. There is a war on Christmas. I want to throw myself off the tower.
What are you up tonight? Oh, just going to throw myself off the tower with the homies.
Yeah.
Gonna get some cheeky reses with the boys.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, the 30th anniversary stuff, like I think the only real change is
I think there's a couple of armor sets too that are really pretty.
for the Dawning.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, I was kind of, part of me was expecting with the 30th anniversary for the second week to maybe have something in there that they hadn't announced again, like they did the first week. It seems like it's just the legend Dares of Eternity, the one with the fixed enemies, that's changed because it's the same every time. It's still Zydron at the end, so in this house we continue to pray for Zydron. And then they've fixed the dungeon as of I think today, so you can now infinitely farm it if you want to keep rolling stuff from it. Yeah, it's look, if you've done the Dawning before, it's not really anything new. You're making cookies, you're giving them out. Doesn't seem like the one for giving a cookie to Riven is still there. I don't know when they got rid of that, but that seems like a good idea to get rid of because that's scary.
When you guys ran that through that last year, I remember being so nervous about it for some reason.
Just to go drop off a cookie to the big weird dragon.
Riven is so like foreboding.
Yeah.
Like she's just that initial drop, no matter how many times we run Wish, that big reveal still kind of like gets me every time. Especially if you end up on the wrong platform and the first thing you see is a big dumb head. You're like, bleh.
Yeah. She long.
But she likes a little cookie.
real dichotomy going on there. Giant universe-ending dragon. I do like a cookie though. Could do with a snack.
When we ran it, it was on a Bev night, and I think I set a couple of you boys off where I'm just like, "Hey, Wyvern, time for little cookies." Like I was talking to her like I talked to my dog.
We can't do this again.
Like I talked to her like I talked to my dog, and I think one of our fire team members who is a massive Riven and Wish fan is like, "Can you please stop talking to Riven like a puppy?" I'm like, "No,
please stop infantilizing the biggest fucking entity
the
within the universe." Yeah.
Oh, but she just wants a little biscuit.
Or can you grant me a wish?
Aww.
I just want a big old biscuit. I don't want to keep doing this.
Wyvern, just down here by yourself, you want a cookie?
You feeling lonely?
Wyvern, you owe me money.
What did you do to Aldwin Sov? Is he your little bitch baby? Was that secretly Savathun?
That's okay. You can have a biscuit anyway.
Damn it. Yeah.
Speak to Riven like a puppy challenge 2022.
I mean, you
Every
win.
content creator that does Last Wish, I only want to hear puppy voice.
Oh man, just during the boss fight, that's all you hear, watching 6 people stream it simultaneously. God. I hate it.
Riven's got a whittle up snake. Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, is that downboard? Is that Uwu Snake? Fucking Uwu Snake. Worst call out.
Oh, there's nice whittle tentacles. Did you grow them yourself? Good job.
Unfortunately, I've got a spinny sword.
It's just a whittle cheese. That's it. From now on, we only refer to that cheese as we're going to go hit Wiven and her whittle cheekies.
Little cheese for me, little cheese for you.
Watch the view rate on the Google ad content creator go,
just like, yeah, love the video. Right then, good night. Don't want to watch. Trash, honestly. Mid, dropped off, ratio, L.
Do better, cringe.
Honestly, big L. Riven, big L.
Middling at best.
Hey, Riven, hold this L. God damn it.
I feel like it's not Destiny burnout. It's like
everything. Life
burnout. Yeah. And I think everyone in December just gets that little bit fucky.
Yeah.
Like, considering my level of fucky is high 24/7, I get particularly fucky in December. So the dawning is just fuckery for us.
Yeah. No, it's just scuffed nonsense.
Online, I see the same sentiment kind of just being like, a lot of people by this life cycle, this yearly cycle of Destiny, they're like, we're just waiting for the next expansion.
Yep.
We're just fucking around at this point. And some of the best shit on Twitter comes from everyone at the end of the year just in holiday brain.
Yep.
And just creating scuffed shit with their emotes or like
I'm down.
For some reason, Destiny names are particularly haunted this time of year. They get real bad. Toyota, Vehicle of Oryx will still
oh my god, that is god tier. T''YOTA, Toyota, Vehicle of Oryx. Lost my goddamn mind. They still haven't like brought out the change so that you can actually change your Bungie name, have they? So those names, I have to assume they've either just started playing Destiny on that account or it's always been there for like months at this point.
I mean, I found some good ones the other day. There's Zur, this is a Wendy's, spelled F-U-R. Tinnitus, Ringer of Ears is also a really good one.
Shout out to the OG homie claimer of ass.
Give me your milk.
Yeah, I think that was one I found. I was like, I'm not sure what you're doing, but it's threatening.
There's just... And I feel like we haven't talked about how much we love Destiny names in a while, but it's because it calmed down after the Bungie name change thing.
It's also like, because you I think tend to be grouped into regional servers, right? So you're not seeing the same ones people might be tweeting about themselves.
But it's like, there are ones that are coming back, and I'm so excited because they're jumping back on, getting ready for the expansion, and also doing dawning stuff.
Yeah, like I'm not sure what it implies, but the name Caramel Bareback really tickled me.
Fucking the one you posted the other day, which is just Fight Milk, sent me for about 20 minutes because that is a very deep It's Always Sunny cut.
Yeah, and I've never seen it. I just thought the phrase Fight Milk was really good. Good. All right.
Oh man, if you've got a cursed Destiny name, we love you.
Yes.
Depends.
Well,
there's scuffed, and then there's just wrong.
There's a threshold there at which I will tell you to go away.
Steamy weenies, fine with that. inside your roof, also fine with that. There are if you get starred out or you get guardian with a sequence of numbers,
I'm gonna be like, I will always check the
be
guardian.
better.
Well, like the ones that show up as like guardian 4-digit number, I always
I
check
always check them.
because if they're on Steam, you can just click through to their platform profile as a Steam player, and you can just see. And then also, because Steam is weird like this, you can look at their entire history of what they've called themselves, and it is sometimes very disgusting.
I hope no one does that with mine, because we went on some adventures when I was able to change my Steam name.
Yes, I remember.
And I would just change it and not tell anyone I was changing it.
Yes, I remember there were a few people in the clan that would kind of do a lot of Destiny puns and sometimes just references to Brian David Gilbert videos and not even the good parts.
Or
Shout
just
out to the stews.
really haunted sentences like Daddy's Little Pogchamp.
Yes. I hadn't thought about that in a while. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about the Spire run, where three
Yes.
of us called ourselves some variation
No,
of
it was
stew.
just two. It was Stolen Stew and Swiping Stew. And it was the fucking worst.
Because we were doing Spire.
Yeah, a
Which is
lot
the
of
most
call-outs.
communication and also orientation heavy raid.
Yeah, couldn't be like, hey, Meckii, need you over here on this plate. It'd be like, fucking, which stew are you?
And you've got two warlocks both wearing the same warlock cloak with their name being Stew.
I'm literally having PTSD right now.
Because we made it worse by putting the same fucking... what is that cloak? The one for Well.
Oh, Sanguine Alchemy?
No,
No.
Phoenix.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. We both had that on because we were both using Well.
Before anyone roasts me for my Warlock knowledge, not a Warlock main. Also, Sanguine Alchemy is the one that buffs Rifts, right?
Rifts.
Yeah, cool.
But
not
also,
a total
like,
dumbass.
Hunters
yeah.
are edgy, Titans are cuddly, and then Warlocks are just scuffed.
Yeah.
Every Warlock I've met, like
Just
Warlock main I've
gross.
met, has been a little shithead.
Yeah. Accurate.
So shout out to my fellow Warlock main.
Shout out to my shithead boys. What's good? Fuck.
What's up? You single? Warlock mains only. Sorry.
Oh, God. Onlylocks.com. That's the best I could do.
Yo, homie, you throw those riffs?
Throw that rift back for a real one?
Bitch, you've got that bond? How about you come over here and make a bond?
Yo, give me that chaos reach around, homie. Damn. I hate this. Can we end the show, please?
Oh, baby, I'll keep you safe inside my well of radiance.
No.
Come and Nova bomb these cheeks. By the way, I'm single. I don't know why.
Oh my god.
Whatever. Why am I still single?
Fuck. Let's get out of here before, I don't know, you start trying to pick up in our comment section. No? You want to keep going?
Yo, you white with a niche interest?
You are like subtweeting yourself at this point. There's such an inside joke between literally you and me.
Even my camera noped out there. He's like,
your
bitch.
Shit went blurry. It's like, no, thank you. Stop it. End this now. And on that note, we're going to call that a wrap for episode 18 of Error Code Blueberry. This has been a real roller coaster of emotions today. What do we got? Well, a week from now is basically Christmas. I reckon we can slam one more in. Maybe it's more of a holiday-themed episode. Who can say? I've already painted my nails, so spoiler
ECB
alert.
non-denominational holiday special.
That's it. Welcome to the ECB Christmaka episode for my OC stands out there. But yeah, we'll be back next week with another one. We'll see our schedules line up. We might just not need to skip a week with the holiday break. With kind of, I think we've lucked out in this one, but we will be back very soon. Thank you as ever for checking us out, giving us your time, your energy, your ears, your eyes, whatever else you're giving us. I don't know how to do this anymore. Links to our social stuff down below. More episodes, well, 17 of them to be exact. In the backlog there. Hit us with a subscribe. Hit us with a comment. Tell us your Scuff Destiny name. I was going to go with the horny warlock bullshit, but I think the names are better. Safer, actually.
If you had a Destiny-themed dating profile, what would it be?
That's not bad. That kind of threads the needle there right down the middle. What is your AU Guardian name that has a hinge profile? Yeah. I'll go with that, I think. We'll see you next week.
Hey, baby, take me to dinner.
Bing bong.
Hey, yo!
Bye.
I think I'm dying of heat exhaustion.
Yeah, I think you are.